Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Hollywood After Dark. It is Monday, August 11th, 2025, and today we're going to be talking about James Cameron having a little bit of trouble trying to figure out a new Terminator movie because of AI, the Harry Potter 10-year plan for a 7-book series, some stuff going on with Star Wars, fake news, also some Finn stuff, and then Robin Williams, guys. Robin Williams, 10 years, 11 years now, gone way too soon. Oh yeah, also physical media stuff, right? Because that's awesome. Hollywood After Dark. Let's fucking go. Yeah! Hey, what's going on, everyone? How you guys doing? Welcome back to the show. It is, of course, Monday, first day of the week. A lot going on today. One of the things that really got me, I'm not going to lie about this, is physical media. Okay, physical media is cool. We're going to be talking about physical media. Arrow has its sale going on over at Barnes & Noble, so you get their spiffy 4K sets for half off, so $24.99. I am looking at the thing. We're going to go over some of the lists. I'll look at some of the things I want, and then I'm going to ask you in the audience to tell me which ones I should get, which ones I shouldn't get. And then, of course, if you really feel like you want to help me and you want to help my wallet, talk me out of actually buying some of these movies. Because physical media, guys, is something that I love. You guys know I champion that stuff all the time. And, of course, it's something I like to discuss here on the show. But, you know, we have to kind of start off today by talking about something a little sad, right? A little sad. I know it sucks. But Robin Williams passed away on this day back in 2014. So it's been 11 years since one of the funniest men ever created by two people smashing pelvises has left us. And he left us, a lot of people thought that he left us selfishly because of everything that had happened. Him taking his own life and everything else. And I don't believe that's the case at all. He was suffering and he wanted to end his suffering. And obviously, it's on a day like today that we think back to a group, like AFSP, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. You can go to afsp.org. I think that's the website, and check out if you want to donate or if you want to help kind of get the word out for suicide prevention. Robin was in a position to where he felt that it was the best thing for him to do in that moment. And, and I understand now all these years later why the debilitating disease that he had and how he thought he was losing himself. I understand that. But that doesn't mean that the world is not dimmer as a result. It's been 11 years and it will never cease to be as bright as it was during the time that he was here. Wherever he is right now, I wish him nothing but the ultimate rest and being able to entertain all of those around him, even if we're all going to hell, according to like the Quakers. You know what I mean? Maybe he's down there right now, making Adolf Hitler like sit on a pineapple. I got no freaking idea. I think that's an old that's a Little Nicky reference for those of you who have been around for a long time. I don't even know, guys. I'm so sorry. Jesus, I'm already off to a weird fucking start here today, aren't I? But so let's dive into some of the, I guess you could call it some of the more, a little crazier news, for Hollywood. Hollywood's in a place right now where it's really trying to sort itself out. And if there's one man who knows how to maybe kind of bridge the gap with a lot of this stuff, it would be someone like James Cameron. But he right now is going through a bit of a crisis because the movie that put him on the map, the story that he helped create and bring to the silver screen, and not only its original incarnation, but its absolutely amazing sequel, is now trying to tackle it once again, but is having trouble because of AI. That's right here. According to Joe Blow, James Cameron says that the current state of AI is making it difficult to come up with a worthwhile Terminator script. Listen, AI is outpacing fiction. There's really no denying that. We are in this kind of unprecedented space right now. I use AI for a lot of stuff. I love it. It's a tool. It's great. I think it's going to be something that a lot of people out there ultimately really kind of come around to as time goes on. But that being said, yeah, it is absolutely kind of outpacing fiction. And so, Cameron is kind of feeling it a little bit, right? He says that it's becoming a bit more alarming. He's concerned about the pace of real-world AI development and its integration with weapons systems, which is, Yeah, that and like Palantir using it to like spy on Americans. I mean, there are things there that are definitely going to be problematic with the government and national defense and military industrial complex. But he also doesn't think that AI can write stories that will resonate with any audience. But he does think that it's going to be good for visual productions. Obviously, we've talked about that before. The thing is, though, listen, Cameron is a great filmmaker. He's a great creative, and I've always said never bet against Cameron. That's not even like an unpopular thing to say. James Cameron is always kind of that guy you never really bet against. He's always on the forefront of technology. But the issue here is not AI with Terminator scripts, right? Like it being too close, like, oh no, Skynet could be on the horizon. And as a person who's a proponent of AI, I'm quite frankly really like annoyed that always seems to come up in the conversation. It's always the like, oh no, it's Skynet, you guys. No, it's not. Shut the hell up. It's not like that at all. But he's having trouble writing a new Terminator movie because of AI. And I'm like, dude, the last one was such a titanic failure, pun intended, that it completely killed the idea of bringing back, more for the sequels, right? Because they'd planned out a Terminator Dark Fate trilogy. And I personally feel like I'm like the only a-hole that like really liked Terminator Dark Fate. Everyone got real butthurt about the opening of that movie without understanding that the concept of time is cyclical, without understanding that the concept of the Terminator franchise is cyclical. I mean, look at Terminator 1. Terminator goes back, tries to kill Sarah Connor. Kyle Reese and Sarah Connor stop it. Then 12, 13 years later, the T-1000 comes back. Okay, but now they send the Terminator back in order to protect John Connor. So again, time is cyclical, now with just an added bonus of having a hero. Terminator 3, they send back another one, this time a Terminatrix, right? And then Arnold has to come back one more time in order to save the day. It is the same story with similar plot beats, just with a different overall narrative. That's the problem. Okay, you have to adapt it in a way that's going to really push the story going forward. Some of these movies, some of these franchises, they have a lot of trouble trying to extend them because they're very much like isolated in some ways, monster outside the cabin in some ways, right? Or monster inside the house, And so how do you take this cool concept and extrapolate and extrapolate and extrapolate? And that ultimately is the problem. James Cameron took the very kind of idea with aliens, right? What he did is he went to Alien and he went, okay, this is Jaws, but instead of Amity Island, this is a space station, and instead of a great white, it's a xenomorph. Okay, so how do we take that? We make it more action packed. Now you add in space marines and you add in a colony that's been overrun by the xenomorphs, and now there's a lot more xenomorphs, and now there's a queen, and you can take that same premise of the monsters inside the house, and you can extrapolate it into something that is going to be more exciting and more action-packed. And that's kind of what he did with Terminator 2, right? So he's good at taking the sequels and building off of the original. He did the same in Avatar: The Way of Water. It was very similar plot beat-wise to the first Avatar movie, but it expanded upon it in new and interesting ways. So like what happened with Terminator 3, Terminator Salvation, Terminator Genesis, right? Those are all movies that were outside of his control. He was heavily involved in Terminator Dark Fate, but didn't direct the movie himself. And perhaps that's the issue here, is he needs to direct the movie. So it isn't that AI is the problem. It's that the AI is here. So how do you write it in a way that's going to be entertaining and not almost like apocalyptic? And that's ultimately where he's at. Never mind the fact that he's on the board of Stability AI, so he can learn about AI technology to be on the forefront of that technology and how it can be used to cut down VFX costs in these movies. And so I think with that particular part of his learning about how the machine learning works, learning about how the algorithms work, learning about how the data sets work, how the training data works, and how it all comes together, I think that's gotten in his way because he's like, oh, the technology is the technology. I was just thinking about it from a sci-fi fantasy perspective beforehand. Now I'm actually learning about the nuts and bolts of how the engineering works, how the mathematics works, how everything works. And it's like, oh, it's really not that exciting. And I think that's what it boils down to. How do you take something and turn it exciting when you know that how the sausage is made, and it's really not that exciting. So what I think you should do here, honestly, this is kind of funny, is go to ChatGPT and be like, help me come up with the story for the next Terminator movie. Do that. Let's do that. Let's go from there. But either way, I think he's just kind of overthinking it, and that's okay because it's James Cameron. So what do you expect, right? So anyway, let's move on and talk about why physical media is it's cool again, baby. It's groovy. All right. So just the other day, Rolling Stone put out an article here. Says here, physical media is cool again. Streaming services have themselves to blame. And they are talking in this article about the resurgence of the popularity of physical media, right? Blu-rays, DVDs, vinyl, VHS. VHS is really big. I don't get it right now, to be honest with you. I mean, VHS is great from a nostalgic perspective, but for the love of God, we've been there before. We want high definition. We want better quality. Why people want to go back? Maybe it's an analog thing to their childhood. It's very nostalgic. But one of the key reasons why streaming services are blowing up in the way that they are or I should say physical media is blowing up in the way that it is, has everything to do with the fact that streaming services are unreliable. When you buy your movie through Vudu or Movies at Home or whatever, Ultraviolet, that one back in the day. Okay. Right. What happens when that company loses that license to that movie? That movie that you spent money on is now gone. You have no access to it because they don't have the license to sell that rental or that, that ownership, which you don't really even own everything. With physical media, hey, I hate to break it to you, you own it. Sure, you can't broadcast it commercially. You can't distribute it commercially. Okay, it's meant for home video use, home video enjoyment, or home theater enjoyment, and that's perfectly fine. You know what I mean? But it's like, this is the big problem with certain people make arguments about how streaming is better because streaming is, you don't have to worry about the space. You don't have to worry about all that other stuff. And I'm going what are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like, this is kind of weird because, really? What is going on here? You know what I mean? It's kind of crazy. Anyway, Tim Burton has actually been coming out and talking about the importance of physical media. So I want to show you guys this him. This is a little clip from the Video Club of him talking about the importance of physical media.
I used to go to VHS stores, I'm that old, so I used to go to those kind of things and spend hours in Blockbuster and all those kind of places. So for me, I love it because, I think this problem with streaming is that you see something you like and then it goes away. And there's something that's really, if you love a film or you love films, there's something, tactile about just having it and having part of your collection. And so for me, it spurs your imagination, your memory about certain things and gets you into, so you kind of go down different paths and journeys when you come into a place like this, which is, you can spend hours or days in here.
Yeah. Right. So that's what he's absolutely right on that too, by the way. Like I said in yesterday's episode, I went to Half Price Books and I ended up picking up 4 movies for $8. But it was fun to just look through and see what they had and look to see what popped out at me. Salem's Lot, the old 1979 Tobe Hooper 3-hour adaptation of Stephen King's book. They had the steel book there, the DVD steel book, I think it was, maybe it was the Blu-ray, but it was $20. I'm like, I'm not paying that because I found out that they're making it on 4K. So that's going to be coming out on 4K. And so we're going to be able to get that restoration. We're going to be able to get all that. And that's why physical media is cool. Now, it's not without its problems, okay? But let's quickly, I want to quickly touch upon the positives of it, right? Talk about the tactile side of this, and to kind of showcase that, I really want to bring up here this new sale that's going on over at Barnes and Noble. Okay, so you can go to Barnes and Noble right now, and probably even Amazon is going to do all this as well. But you can find a ton of movies for pretty cheap, okay? Trick or Treat is a fantastic 4K. I have this, $25. The Warriors is a fantastic 4K. I have this, $25. Inglourious Bastards. Already, Universal is the same transfer that Universal did. So it's like, kind of like whatever, but it's a good case and it's a good collection. If you like Arrow, you may want to get it. You know, the original The Hills Have Eyes is a gory movie. I don't know how well it would look in 4K, but there you go. Hugo. Oh God, that movie sucks. Sorry. If you like Hugo, I feel bad for you. 12 Monkeys, Chronicles of Riddick, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. You know, A Simple Plan. This is a really good looking 4K. I need to get Riddick. I might actually buy this one. Poseidon, Waterworld. I have Waterworld on 4K that was very generously gifted to me. Conan, both Conans are here, by the way. I have never seen Conan. Should I buy Conan? Should I get Conan 1 and 2? I'm like literally tempted to do that. Look, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, Kenneth Branagh. Helena Bonham Carter, Robert De Niro, crazy good movie. Weird Science, crazy good movie. Witness, Roman Polanski, that's Frantic. This is Peter Weir. Crimson Peak, I kind of want to get all the Guillermo del Toro's on 4K. I've got Pinocchio. I need to get The Shape of Water. I need to get the Hellboy movies. How's Crimson Peak? If anyone has seen it, let me know. I haven't seen it there, right? Texas Chainsaw Massacre is not out yet, but it's coming. It's coming soon. I hear this is a good transfer of it too. Pitch Black, I have, great transfer. Donnie Darko sucks ass, can't recommend it. Demolition Man, awesome. I do have this. I have the big chunky box that they set out. But look at this. You've got just like the Andromeda Strain. Okay, it's an okay film from back in the day. Joel Schumacher's Flatliners, right? That's a classic. Tremors, motherfucker. Tremors. All right. RoboCop, I have this. They have Tremors 2. Oh my God, they have Tremors 2 Aftershock. Holy shit. I love Tremors 2 Aftershock. Number 1 is a classic. Number 2 is wonderfully amazing. You can get Mallrats. You get that Last House on the Left. The other Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the one Jonathan Liebsman did. This is the beginning, I think. Yeah. You've got Desperado. You can also get the El Mariachi trilogy for, I think, like $35. That's actually the cheapest it's been. I might get it. American Werewolf in London for $25. Dune, The Cell, Invasion. This is a great transfer, by the way, of Invasion. The tons of stuff here. I just got The Long Kiss Goodnight. It's coming in the mail. I got Swordfish last month. Love Swordfish. Jason Goes to Hell. Friday the 13th. Oh, this is a 2009 Friday. I have this one too. It looks great. There's a lot of great freaking movies here. And I know I'm just kind of going through the list here, showing you all what they got. And if you're looking to get Man from U.N.C.L.E., I want to get this in 4K. You got Cobra in 4K. You've got Dark City. I just got Dark City, but I got the chunky box, limited edition. They've got I think this is the chunky box of I think this is the chunky box of Dark City and Deep Blue Sea, $30. I kind of want to get that though. It looks amazing. There's just so many good freaking movies here, guys. And I'm looking at this like, how much do I want to put on my credit card? I have When Titans Ruled the Earth. I've got the double set here of that. I've also got the Quartet of Torment from all that. So there's some good movies here. See, yeah, I've got the Quartet of Torment. Which I paid about $60 for those four films. So again, if you guys see things here that you like, let me know. And the reason why I want to show you these sales and I want to spend time talking about the importance of physical media is because it is important. You own it. You can play it without the internet. You can play it on any device that will run the disc that you have. You don't need to update the software. You don't need to make sure that you are on at least a DSL connection for some kind of low latency standard definition streaming. There are ways to use this to be able to enjoy the movie in a multitude of different ways without being tethered to the internet. And as much as I am terminally online, and as much as I love Netflix and Hulu and Amazon and streaming and all that stuff, you can never, ever, 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 ever take away the importance of physical media. And I think that's something that needs to be talked about and needs to be preserved. The downside is that you have to wait for sales, I think, because otherwise you got all these steelbooks coming out because that's the collectors are buying first. And that's the biggest problem. Okay. The collectors are buying everything up first. The prices, scalping goes up crazy on on eBay and whatnot. They get the FOMO for everything else. That's why I got Dark City. You know, I mean, you got to get that FOMO, right? And that's a big problem. And that's something that a lot of physical media collectors really don't like, is because it feels so predatory, which is why I personally wait for like the Arrow sale, the Criterion sale. I think you can go to movies for sale, or no, moviesonsale.org, I think is the website. Let me see if I can movies onsale.net. Here we go. This is one I use. So moviesonsale.net. This guy updates it every day with what's going on. Okay, this is the new stuff. This is all Amazon. Okay, so look, a simple plan is $30, even though it's $25 on the Barnes & Noble. They got it down to $30, so if you don't want to go through Barnes & Noble, they've got, Black Hawk Down 4K for night. I have this one, by the way. They've got Carrie from 1976. That's a great film. Castle in the Sky, Cobra Creep. I mean, Cobra is, again, like 20, it's a few dollars more than what's on the Arrow sale for Barnes & Noble. And I'm like, just get it there. Here we go. Deep Blue Sea Limited Edition, $35 compared to $30. It might be, again, you can come here and look to get a lot of stuff. But, obviously, the idea there is you want to probably go buy through Barnes & Noble and get those extra discounts. And I think if you are a Barnes & Noble member, that 10% discount stacks on this as well. Don't quote me on that. I read that online. I'm not a member, but I just want to pass along that information. But that is why physical media is wildly important, and one of the reasons why we have to champion it at every single turn. And it really is, I hate to say, it is DVD, Blu-ray, 4K. Okay, it's not, vinyl's making a comeback. That's music. That's on its own thing. Okay, I don't ever see CDs coming back. Maybe they will, but I don't really see it. This is storage capacity. That's why I think VHS is based upon what Tim Burton was saying in that clip about how you get the nostalgia. I think the box art for VHS is amazing. It's wonderful. It's badass. It's never been fucking replicated in any way that's even been worth a damn, in my opinion. And we always want to go back to that kind of stuff because of the way it made us feel going through those old video stores when we were kids. And so for that front, absolutely, have at it. I won't collect VHS, but you know what? I'm not going to sit there and like go after you if you do, because people, they like different things. They like all that stuff. So what are your thoughts about that? What movie should I get? What movie shouldn't I get? Let me know down in the comment section. But moving on, let's talk about the biggest elephant right now in Hollywood, in my opinion. And that, of course, is the Harry Potter show. Now, we found out, it wasn't yesterday, actually. It turns out this particular story dropped like Friday, but it only really got talked about yesterday, which is kind of weird. So apparently, David Zaslav, right, the guy in charge of Warner Brothers Discovery, says that the Harry Potter television show will run for at least 10 years. And I'm like, well, that seems kind of weird because there's 7 books. So what are you going to do with that? What do you mean? And a lot of people are asking kind of the same thing. They're wondering how much of this is going to be filler, how much of this is going to be stuff that is not going to move the story along. Look, man, the first couple books are short. Okay, I think the first book, I think The Sorcerer's Stone, is like 274 pages, somewhere in that range, right? The Chamber of Secrets is like 330 pages. I don't even think the Prisoner of Azkaban is over 400 pages, right? You can tell these stories over the course of a season, and they're going to be maybe 8-9 episodes, right? I don't think they're going to give us a full 12 or full 13. They're going to definitely try to chop it down, but they should also maybe look at it like Andor does and treat because the show takes place over the course of a school year, right? So maybe 9 episodes, and each of those 3 episodes constitutes a season and also like a mini arc. And that then leads into the bigger arc because you've got the storytelling elements that are like that. You could find a way to format it to where it could be pretty decent. But at the same time, why does a Harry Potter show need to be 10 seasons? Why? I mean, most TV shows peter out after 5, but this is an adaptation of 7 books. Now, the only thing I could think of would be Order of the Phoenix, the Half-Blood Prince, and the Deathly Hallows are just going to have to be expanded upon. At least the Half-Blood Prince and the Deathly Hallows. I know they did the 2 movies for Deathly Hallows, and that worked out real well. There's a lot more they could have said there. Half-Blood Prince, yeah, because they've got to also build up to the death of Snape, and then they've got to build up to the reveal that, sorry, not Snape, Dumbledore, and then build up to the reveal that, Snape was the Half-Blood Prince, because that was the mystery throughout the entire course of that book, which was very much kicked to the curb for the emotional crash out that was the death of Dumbledore in that book, right? Never mind the fact that the last 60 pages of the Half-Blood Prince, Hogwarts turns into an absolute fucking war zone, which is such a cool part of that book too. Like you've got Dumbledore. If you've never read the books, right? Right after Snape kills Dumbledore, page 606, by the way. And spoiler, it's only been like 20 years. Anyway, when Snape kills Dumbledore, you've got the Death Eaters storming into Hogwarts, and then you've got Dumbledore's army, which spent all of book 5 trying to like prepare to fight the Death Eaters and to fight Voldemort. And those guys, they kick in their training, right? They're like Hogwarts special ops and shit. And they're kicking over tables and benches and chairs, and they're fucking firing off spells and shit. Dude, it's an awesome scene in the book. The movie just, Bellatrix Lestrange like is jumping around on a table in the Great Hall, like, I killed Sirius Black, I killed Sirius, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, and then you get to the end, and then it's like, Snape's like, I'm the Half-Blood Prince. Like, this is a big fucking reveal. It's a big fucking reveal of the book. God damn it. Like they dropped the ball. So if they're going to sit there and they're going to really build up the shows around the books, and they're going to kind of expand a couple of the shows, or a couple of the seasons are going to get extra. I think that could make a lot of sense. But at the same time, these kids are like, spend 10 years making this stuff, and they're shooting it right now, and it's coming out in 2027. And I don't know if they're shooting 1 and 2 back to back, or if they're just shooting the first season. There's a lot going on with that. But then you have the elephant in the room, which is going to be J.K. Rowling. And a lot of people are really mad at her for her political stance on the trans discussion, and how money she is earning is going to be going into like backing advocacy groups that are trying to push back against trans women in sports and things like that. And that's going to be a big problem, because Zaslav has been like, yeah, no, we don't support what she says, but like, she's involved as a creative consultant and as a producer, and she's going to oversee a lot of it. Like J.K. Rowling is going to have to give the green light on a lot of this stuff, at least until the show gets its foothold, and then they can remove her from the show. Remember, but then again, if the show starts crapping out, right? If it starts tanking in ratings and everyone's really mad about her being involved, by the end of season 1, we'll find out that they like parted ways with her or something. Like we thank Jo for her her support and for her guidance, but she's going to go do her own thing, and we've got everything locked down. We've got the showrunner, we've got the scripts written for the seasons, we know where we're going, we know what we're doing. Thank you, Jo, now go, sort of thing. And they could do that, because I think that's kind of what happened with Neil Druckmann on The Last of Us season 2. Really took a hit because of how the game was. And that was all Druckmann, and he left the show, right? He was all right and high after season 1, season 2, right? And then he kind of left the show. So, these are situations that happen in Hollywood. It's very weird. It's one of the reasons why I think I'm as big of a proponent as AI as I am, because I'm like, people can just start making their own stuff, man. And you don't have to like be really in that category anymore. I think that it kind of moves away. It opens up democratization, I think. And I'm a big fan of that, by the way. Not everybody is, but I am. Okay, so let's move on and talk about another little elephant in the room that I'm just so tired of this. And I'm going to put my friend on blast here. I am. And this is done with love. So Edward over at Small Screen posted this last night, saying here, breaking, Ewan McGregor has confirmed that he will return as Obi-Wan Kenobi in Ahsoka Season 2. Ewan McGregor confirmed that he will return as Obi-Wan Kenobi in Ahsoka Season 2 while at Fan Expo Boston this weekend. He's also still interested in Kenobi Season 2 and or continuing to reprise the role in future projects, which, yeah, I think he would be. He's openly said that before. I would very much be happy if he came back and to give us a little bit more, something to kind of like wipe the taste of Kenobi out of our mouth. I need to watch it again, to be honest with you guys. Maybe next year, leading up to the release of The Mandalorian. Again, I'll just kind of go through episode by episode to give my thoughts, my reviews. And if that is something you want me to do, let me know, because it's an undertaking to do that kind of stuff, but I'm down to do it if you guys are down to come with me. It's got to be, it's a quid pro quo sort of thing. It's a two-way street. I gotta put that out there. But here's the problem with this particular report. And what I don't like about this is there's no source. Okay, because as we found out, no, Ewan McGregor will not return as Ahsoka Season 2. Hayden Christensen is definitely going to be there, but Ewan McGregor will not. And so what happened here, he says, Star Wars fans remain hopeful that Christian might, oh no, I'm reading the wrong thing here. Where's that at there? Okay, he says here, okay, this is McGregor. I'm sorry, I messed up. He says, I like watching my wife, so I really enjoyed Ahsoka. I thought that was brilliantly done. It's so funny, like, she's shooting the second season now, and I know, is that a secret? Right? Well, she is anyway, and so I just finished doing a play, so I'm at home with our son, who's 4, and I take him to school and everything, and then I'm, bumbling around the house, and I'd fetch a FaceTime and forget that she's going to be green, So he continues, she pops up, and I'm like, oh my God, oh yes. Often she's in her trailer without all the head stuff on, but she's just green, She's a very beautiful green lady, so I love that. And that's really about it. It was just like, he says, okay, he also says here, the powers that be decide that's something they want to see, I'd be there in a heartbeat. So he's not saying that he's in Ahsoka season 2. He's not saying that he's anywhere near Star Wars again. But I think he will be near Star Wars again, all right? With Filoni kind of moving more so into that creative position with The Mandalorian and Grogu coming out next year. And obviously, I think it's going to lead into Heir to the Empire. I think we are going to get deepfake Luke Skywalker and Leia and Han. I think we're going to get all of that stuff, even deepfake Chewie or whatever. They're going to bring back those characters. We're going to go and fight Thrawn, and that's going to be what they're going to do. And they're going to go right into the technology. They're going to go right into all that stuff. And people are just going to have to deal with it, okay? Because as AI gets better and better and better, they'll just sit there and say they deepfaked it, which is, yeah, it's AI, right? It's like when someone says machine learning, it's AI. It's just different words for a very unique type of property, but that is what it is. Anyway, I really, what bothers me about this is that people ran with it, and they just run with it and run with it and run with it without vetting the sources, right? Without doing anything like that. And I asked Grok last night about this, and it was like, and it even corrected the Edwards report there about, he's like, nah, it's probably not happening. I'm like, okay, right. And then you just do the research and you find it yourself. I feel like more people need to do that second step. Okay, because so much stuff is said on social media, especially on Facebook. If you have seen the amount of fake posters and fake movie announcements on Facebook, it's insane. It's insane what is coming up. People just make it, and then people just believe it. Although in the case of Goonies 2, Spaceballs 2, The Devil Wears Prada 2, and a few others, they've actually turned out to be accurate down the road. It's a clusterfuck, guys, and I hate it. It's a minefield, and I hate it. But still, at the end of the day, I would love to see him come back, and I'd love to see him do Obi-Wan again and get a good, proper finale. I think would be great. All right, let's go into the last story of the night, and I think this is where things get a little bit on the interesting side, and that is John Boyega has revealed what he expected from Finn's Star Wars story, and ultimately, it's what everybody thought, right? He was just going to be Force sensitive because in the sequel trilogy, everyone is Force sensitive. I'm not even making that up, right? You go like Poe Dameron, Force sensitive, Admiral Holdo, Force sensitive, everybody Force sensitive. It's just like, my God, for something that was meant to be a rarity, right? Yeah, sure. Everyone has access to midichlorians. They're everywhere. It's just like that door is shut for most people. It is slightly open for some. It is way more open for others, but it is mostly shut. It's not that everyone can't connect to the Force, but it's like that there's no way to actually connect to it. It's a weird way of looking at it. But anyway, so in this piece, he's talking, this is in an interview from the Fan Expo Boston this last weekend. And he expected Star Wars actually to kind of not do him dirty. He envisioned a Jedi-oriented arc where Finn could become Force sensitive and potentially conflict with Rey. He wanted to have the dueling Jedis. He wanted to have the Obi-Wan and Anakin arc. And that makes a lot of sense because, hey guys, guess what? I don't know if I've mentioned this before. Star Wars, much like time, is cyclical. The events keep happening over and over and over again. It is a definition of insanity. But that's what he wanted. He wanted to become Force sensitive, and then he wanted to become, I don't know, Gray Jedi, Sith, whatever, and then duel with Rey. And I think that would actually potentially make this if they're going to do the Rey stuff over there now, which nobody really wants, but if they're going to do the Rey storyline post Rise of Skywalker, yeah, give us dark Finn, okay, right? I mean, granted though, it's a little bit too on the nose, right? Like, she's white, he's black. She wears white, he wears black. I mean, it's a little on the nose. It's just a wee bit. on the nose. Maybe they'd find a better way of doing it, give him a little bit of red, throw in some color, give him some red eyes. I don't know, do something or another. But I feel like John Boyega's been not happy about a lot of the stuff for a long time. You know what I mean? He's very much been complaining about how everything is kind of panned out for his character, and he's hasn't really done anything with Star Wars, I think, since Rise of the Resistance, which was shot before the release of The Rise of Skywalker. And if they're going to bring back Rey, yeah, they should probably find a way to bring back everybody and, continue those journeys without the First Order being the big bad and move on to something else. It's not something I want personally, but if we got it, I'm not going to be upset. I liked him as Finn. I liked the character. I wanted to see more with it. Rian Johnson fundamentally turned him into a cartoon character sidekick. And it's just another example of how Rian Johnson never understood the assignment, made it all about himself, and really damaged the brand for probably about a decade. Because by the time The Mandalorian, at least 9 years, right? It just, theatrically speaking, he just borked it. And for some reason, there's never been any accountability for that, which really kind of gets under my damn skin, so to speak. But anyway, that brings us to the end of the episode. I do appreciate everybody hanging out today. As we kind of, again, go through everything, I think it's going to be a lot of fun to build this out. You guys can head over to HWAD.tv to get the articles based upon these stories that come out today. Of course, there's going to be the individual video clips for those who don't want to sit through the entire 40-minute show. And we'll be going live tomorrow, the 12th, to have the weekly stream. And yeah, let's build it up, man. We're going to have a good time. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Have yourself a great day. Thank you again for listening. Please like, please comment. Have a good one, and peace the hell out.